Hey, hi everybody. In the series on how to lead change programs, I have been talking so far about my experience and some of the tools and techniques that I've been using. I wanted to take a step back and talk a little bit more about the framework that I've been using. So let's talk a little bit more about what is it that we want to achieve in the change program. We want people who are a part of the change program or going to be impacted with the change program. We want them to go through this specific cycle, this user journey. We want them to be aware, and then we want them to show interest. We want them to try it, and then we want them to adopt it. So this is how the users will go through. When I say users, I mean stakeholders, right? Direct and indirect. And this is the change program journey, right? You will start with how you want to mobilize the change program, how you would want to start having movement in the change program, and how would you want to sustain it. So this is your initial start phase, this is your momentum phase, and this is your institutionalization phase, right? This is what we want to do. Now, each of the techniques that we use is when you want people to be aware, how do you want in the mobilization phase, what techniques you use. Most of the tools that we use, when I say tools, it's basically things that I try out. For example, one-on-one meetings or town halls or emails or progress reports. They are basically grouped into these three things. First is credibility of both the change leader as well as the change program. The second one is the comms from the change leader, from the change program, from the participants, formal, informal, everything. And the last one is the training. How can they gain skills? How can they do everything? So this is a very, very simple framework. This is something that I learned in MIT, and this is something that I've been using. Let me take an example and kind of talk about what it is. So when I am talking about credibility, communication, and training, and I want people to be aware and I'm trying to mobilize them, I'm going to talk a little bit more about what does it mean for this change program to exist? What is it? What is in it for you, right? What is in it for you, right? That's kind of what we kind of focus on here. And the communications are about that. It's about the pain points and the problems that we face today and the possible solutions. And why this change program makes sense at this point of time. And of course, there are multiple scenarios where this could actually happen. It depends on where the change leader is. For example, in this case, I am not, if you remember, in the top position in the sense I'm not leading the program. But I'm a part of the change program management. I'm kind of trying to lead the change, not the program. And the sense of urgency is pretty low. It's not shared there's not a high sense of urgency. So that will need a very different set of techniques to kind of increase credibility, communications, and training. In a high urgency situation, and if I'm as a change leader have a leadership position, it makes very, very easy for me to be able to do all these three things. Similarly, the interest phase, and let's say I'm in movement, another example is I can actually do a pilot project and I can actually talk about some initial success and some people that have been very, very successful, right? Recognition of adopters. I can do that. And similarly, I can do that, the pilot project is during the trial phase and not really during the interest phase. You can do it during the interest phase, but it predominantly will be during the trial phase. And same things during when adoption and sustain, you will actually do a lot more of weekly reports, a lot more of town hall meetings. And during adoption and the movement phase, when you have fewer people who are in the adoption stage and you are trying this thing is in movement, you want to reinforce some of the concepts of the change program. So this is in a nutshell the framework that we are using. I hope this has been helpful for you. Again, it depends from case by case in the change program that you could be leading. There could be a completely different set of tools and techniques that you will need. But again, this framework should be helpful. From a change program journey, where are you? From a stakeholder journey, where are the people? And of course, from your positioning, right? Are you a leader, or are you for the lack of a better word, are you a soldier, right? And also on the sense of urgency, right? Is it high or low? These are the 4 key factors that go into this framework and that help us decide when do we do what. Again, care should be taken that sometimes you need to be able to get in and get out of a specific activity. So if you're not able to get feedback, let's say in a pilot project, be very clear on why you started it, why you're ending it, what you learned from it, and that's kind of a part of the comms too, right? At this phase, and be able to move nimbly and quickly as you progress towards your change program. Again, some of these things will actually reduce your credibility too when you actually try something too soon or try something too aggressive and people are not ready for it. They're still in the awareness state while you actually, let's say, try to run a pilot project, which actually you need when they are in the trial state. So these are some of the things that we need to take care of. Again, for each person and each change program and each organization, there needs to be different structure, but this framework should work. I hope this was helpful. Thank you.